Welcome, Dr. Swamy.
Thank you.
You've been the president of the Janta Party since 1990, and recently you merged the party with the Bharatiya Janta Party, the leading opposition party in India. Why have you done that? Why have you decided to merge it rather than not remain independent and perhaps support the Bharatiya Janta Party?
The answer to that is that 99% of the BJP is actually Jansangh, and it is supported by the RSS, Vishnu Parishad and so on from the outside. Now, I entered politics through the Jansangh, which was 100% RSS, Vishnu Parishad, so on, and had a tremendously good time in their company. I did a lot of political activity, including imposing the state of the emergency. But there was a conflict that developed on how strident should the views be expressed between a more suave Atal Bihari Vajpayee and myself. And a lot of people took advantage of the difference in tone and idiom, and trying to make out I was a hardliner. And so this led to a lot of heartburn also in some members of the party then. And then when we all joined the Janta Party, and then Janta Party broke up and the Jansangh people went away, and they did not adopt the Jansangh policy of Hindutva, but something they called as Gandhian socialism, which was anathema to me. I did not go. But in 2004, after the NDA lost, the RSS people contacted me and said, you have been against us, but you have been consistently ideologically. So we'd like you to join with us again.
Is it also a way of sending out a message perhaps to potential allies that you are 100% committed now to the BJP?
Well, I am ideologically more committed to BJP than the BJP itself, in the sense that I am much more clear, my presentations are sharp, there are no nuances in what I say. So in that sense, the worker of the BJP thinks that I am one of them more than even many others.
And that has in fact sometimes got you into a hot spot. Controversy is not something that you're away from for
but
too
my
long.
enemies do me a service in that. I got into a hot spot when I wrote an article in the DNA newspaper where I spoke about how to deal with terrorism, and the views are not very different from many world leaders' views, including Mr. Putin's view when he spoke about Islamic presence in Russia. But in India, there's a fashion. It's been a fashion to sound liberal, even if you're not liberal, and it's naturally people took advantage of it and made a big controversy of it. But
let's look ahead. Let's look at what you've been talking about now, keeping the next general election in mind. You've talked about removing direct taxes.
Yeah, corporate, yes, direct taxes, both the personal income tax and corporate tax, yeah.
You want to do away with it completely?
Yeah.
Now, is this something that you will pursue, or is it something you're just putting out as an idea?
No. We must pursue, because how do I generate enthusiasm? Supposing tomorrow we are in government and I have something to say in that government. How does one create enthusiasm? The last time I was in government was 1990, when we had another crisis, and by deregulation, which Mr. Narasimha Rao adopted with full measure, and I was part of his government too, heading the GATT commission, WTO commission. There are some things which can't filter down. You can't wait for it filtering down. When there's so much despondency, you need to do something. And one of the things that most people feel harassed, particularly the middle class, because the rich have chartered accountants to take care of their problems. The poor don't have to pay income tax. So the middle class, professional class, they've been terribly harassed by income tax. And at this stage, to say no more paperwork on income tax, and whatever money you've been paying now, you keep it to yourself, I think it will have a huge boost, you see.
But do you think the BJP will support you in this? And I know you are the BJP, but I'm still asking you that would your party members support you?
Good question. It's not necessary that whatever ideas are expressed freely necessarily become party policy. But I would not have said it if I didn't have an estimation that this will probably be popular in the middle class, and the BJP is middle class driven, and that I have a great deal of seniority now in the BJP in terms of past associations, may not have a post just yet, and I am certain that I can get it done.
So Dr. Swamy, you're saying that if the BJP wins and
Yes.
comes to power,
Yes.
you are going to champion the cause of zero income tax, personal tax, direct
corporate-
tax,
and
and
corporate.
corporate tax.
Yes.
And if it doesn't happen, then would you carry on with the BJP?
Of course, you know, democracy, you can't insist on agreement on every issue. My way of being with BJP is ideological. I would have been there, but for certain personal problems, personal differences with some people. But on the ideological question, I have never wavered.
But coming back to this question of the tax, have you got support in the BJP?
I have not measured it, but must remember that I have made this statement on an official briefing for the BJP.
But you also put a rider there saying this is your personal
Absolutely,
view.
because I don't want someone else to feel upstaged, you see. We have a large number of people who have claimed to articulating economic views of the party. But I have a very long tradition of being the economic voice or the voice of economics for the Jansangh. I was the first one who brought the Swadeshi plan, the alternative plan, the non-socialist plan, and became famous for it. So I have moral authority, and I will certainly exercise it, and I think it needs to be done.
What about foreign direct investment?
That depends, you see.
You have in the past been very keen to open up nearly all sectors and open India up.
Subject to one condition, that the level playing field. You can't have non-level playing field and foreign direct investment. For instance, I give you two examples. Walmart. I've been against Walmart because they get capital loans from the banks at 2% interest rate, and they'll come here, they'll dip into the common labor pool. Our Indian traders who are already been here for centuries, generation to generation, they have to get loans from banks at 12% to 18% rate of interest.
So multi-brand retail is something you're not keen on?
Till you rectify that level playing field. You see, why the Americans don't agree to Indian companies going to United States to bid for building roads and houses and take Indian labor? I mean, they want to bring their cheap capital here to earn a profit. What's wrong with the Indian companies taking our cheap labor there and taking benefit of their cheap capital? But the Americans, they don't want a two-way street.
Do you think the next election, the general election that is likely to be fought early next year, is going to focus on the economy as the main subject of debate? Or do you think that it's going to move into other areas of personalities or issues of governance?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be personality. But economy will be only one, but not the only. How to deal with terrorism is going to be an issue, and that includes how to deal with Pakistan. And three was going to be something that's been under the surface and clamps had been put on it during the Jawaharlal Nehru period and Indira Gandhi period, and that is the question of an identity of an Indian. Who are we?
But if we may just talk about the economy first, because that seems to be an issue that is being debated very much these days.
Yes.
And people want to see the economy come back on
Yes.
a growth path.
Yes.
What is the formula that the BJP is putting out as their magic formula? Because there's a lot of criticism about what has been done, what has gone wrong, but looking forward, nobody seems to have a blueprint.
I wouldn't say that nobody has a blueprint, but the blueprint is being worked on. There are two documents that have to come out. One is the manifesto, which will be in terms of do's and don'ts. The other would be a vision document prepared by another committee headed by Nitin Gadkari, which would deal with the philosophical and long-term issues. And I think economy, yes, we have solutions. I gave you one very small solution of abolition of income tax. I will say that India can be made into a global globalized agricultural economy, because we have the cheapest cost of production, the lowest cost of production for most agricultural products. And then I would like to see that India compete with China on the semi-processed manufactured goods that go from East Asia now exclusively to China. I'd like it to come by here. So there are a number of positive things that.
And do you think we will be able to get back on the growth path soon enough?
I think we should aim for a growth path of 12% per year.
By when?
It should be possible to turn it around within a year.
But do you feel that the Indian economy now is stable and reasonably well placed to get on that high growth path?
Indian economy is very sound. It's and these people here are very hardworking. There's no shortage of resources if you, for example, price them properly. Like in the case of natural resources, if you were to auction it, you get no end of resources. What's a problem with the Indian economy is the reckless disregard for economic criteria in the allocation of resources.
Which you hope to fix if you do come back to power.
Absolutely, I will fix it, and because I'll see that no corrupt motives enter it if I had a say.
Mr. Swamy, you've been through lots of ups and downs in life.
That is the spice of life.
Yes, but you seem to enjoy
Yeah.
the battle as much as the
Yeah.
good times and the bad times.
Yes.
If I may ask you, which incident in your life have you felt as being a one that was stressful for you and challenging for you? Was it the time when you had to leave India during the emergency, or return to India and again leave India?
No. By then I was mentally ready for all these kinds of activities. I think the first thing that for which I was emotionally unprepared, being a great believer in the Bhagavad Gita, I have not been easily affected by outcomes. I've been quite neutral to both victory. I don't celebrate victory and I don't weep over defeat. But when I came back from Harvard, it was a sheltered life I had led there. And when I came back, I was assured, a word was given by one of the leading economists called Amartya Sen, that I would be installed as a professor of Chinese studies in the Delhi University. And when I arrived here, the political circumstances had changed because the Congress party had split, and these people welched on their word, and I was left high and dry. That was the first stressful incident. And then anyway, I got into IIT as a full professor, and one day I get a letter which is totally illegal. It was later proved to be illegal by the courts, but took a long time. And that was that they at 5:15 in the afternoon they sent me a letter saying that you're no more a professor. You know, suddenly you find everything blocked, and you're now almost compelled to do what you didn't want to do, namely go back to America and resume your academic career there. I didn't want to do it. So those period of about a year and a half was very stressful. But then the association with Jan Sangh led to my coming to Parliament, and then everything changed.
They also say that people who make big and powerful enemies have very good friends.
Yes.
Is that true?
You generally have secret friends.
So you wouldn't like to tell us who your good friends are?
No, I will not tell you individuals are good friends, but I've made friends with a number of countries. China, very good friends with them. Israel, extremely good friends with them. Americans, I can't say I've been friends. I was brought up there, so it's a bit like an American myself. Blunt, straight talking. My interests are more important than your interests. That's sort of an American attitude. So there has been, of course, I have had no intimate relations with any of the countries, but generally the intellectual support that I've got both from China and Israel has been important. would like to be friends with the Russians, but you have a legacy of your Soviet Union. And they don't forget that easily, neither I forget what they did. In fact, I had a very interesting conversation with the ambassador where he recalled all the horrible things I did to the Soviet Union. I didn't tell him about all the horrible things they did to me, including chase me around the country, blacken my name, call me a CIA agent. You know, I mean, they literally used their entire media to make out that I was an American agent. The Americans were not willing to own me up. If you look at the WikiLeaks, the Americans called me an ultra-right nationalist who cannot be trusted not to turn against the Americans. So, within India, I have broadly the support of spiritual people. They have been very supportive. I think some of them who are very evolved spiritually. They saw in me a capacity to fight which they didn't see in others. So they always told me, nothing to worry, just keep at it, you will come out of it.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy. Thanks for sharing your views with us.